Hello artists, this is Mr. David. We are going to do a watercolor project using some of the techniques we've been learning. On this piece of art, we will use wet on wet gradation, where we go from dark to light. And we'll use the salt, wax resist, and spatter techniques. We'll paint on a half of a sheet of our watercolor paper like we did in lesson 4. This time we'll use it going up and down instead of side to side. Let's tape down our paper using the tape we've prepared by sticking it to our clothes, so it won't be so sticky. Do your best to make even borders. We'll start painting by using the side of our brush and clear water to get the paper wet. Just wet enough to make the paper shiny. If it gets too wet and the water puddles, you can dry your brush and use it to remove some of the water. For our wet on wet gradation, we will mix some blue on our palette with some water. Load your brush with paint, and going from side to side using the side of your brush, start at the top with the most paint, and as you move down, there will be less paint and the paint will get lighter. I wanted mine a bit darker blue at the top, so I added more paint. When you finish with your gradation, while the paint is still wet, take a tiny bit of salt and sprinkle it all over the wet paint. Now, as in most of our watercoloring, we set it aside to dry completely, or speed it up with a hair dryer. Next, we will use wax resist. The paint won't stick to wherever you put the wax. This time, I chose to use an old birthday candle. Use the candle and draw grass-like strokes from the bottom going halfway up. Make some green and yellow together to make a more grassy color. Using the side of your brush, do strokes pressing a little harder at the bottom and lightening as you go up to create blades of grass. Make sure to paint enough of them so that you reveal your wax resist strokes. Wherever the wax is, the paint won't stick to it. I'm adding a little of the darker green as well to create depth. Now let it dry. Mix on your palette a bit of red and orange. We are going to use this color to paint flowers. You can use any color you like for your flowers. I think the red shows up the best. Paint flowers by making little crescent-shaped strokes by pressing down on your brush, then curving it slightly as you lighten the pressure. Make a few of these strokes to create small flowers. Make as many flowers as you like. Make some of them a little bigger or smaller. Make some so small they are just dots. Add a little more water to the paint and make a couple flowers more transparent. Mix a bit more of your red-orange paint and get a good amount on your brush. Using the handle of your brush, tap it against your finger to create a nice spatter effect. Now set it aside to dry. If you have a part of the paint that's stubborn, like I did, and won't dry, you can use your brush to dab up the wet part. Now that you are done and everything is dry, you can carefully peel off your tape, creating a nice border. The last thing to do is brush all of the dried salt from your work. Check out the nice pattern it makes. Now, as always, we can practice. I've decided to make my practice art a little smaller, so I'm cutting the size paper we just used in half again. Measure over sideways 3 inches and make 2 marks. Draw a line, then cut your paper. Now we are ready to practice. Repeat all of the steps from the first painting, only this time a bit smaller. Make sure to be careful and take your time. I speed up my videos so you can see the painting process more quickly, but I also take my time. You can even take breaks if you like. You don't have to finish your painting all at once. See if you can notice the paper shrink as I dry it. The watercolor paper swells when we wet it with water and paint, and shrinks back when it dries. This is another reason why we tape our work down. You can copy the art just as I've done in this video, but as you become more confident, you can try to see what you can come up with. Experiment with shapes and colors and textures and how much paint you put on and how you put it on. And don't be afraid to make mistakes. Mistakes are all about learning. As in doing all of our artwork, you can practice as many times as you like. I find that some of the fun of watercoloring is it comes out a little bit different each time you do it. Check again and watch the paper shrink while I dry. This is another reason why we tape our paper down, so it won't wrinkle when it gets wet. Just have fun and see what you can come up with.